West Garrison wanted nothing to do with me. I could tell by his stunned expression, his jerky movements, and the way he scuttled backwards against his desk to put some distance between us. But I couldn't give up without even trying. I'd flown all the way from Nashville to LA for this audition, not to mention depleting my savings to buy the plane ticket. If I didn't get this gig, I'd be back to ramen noodles every night. I might even lose my apartment. I'd have to give up and go home with my tail between my legs. Dry Gulch, Texas, the home of the fightin' stink bugs. Dad would be thrilled. I'd rather have splinters under my fingernails. I searched my sleeve for a dry piece of fabric to blot the water running down my forehead. Why had there been water in the street anyway? Wasn't there some song about how it never rains in California? My legs were shaking, but it wasn't from nerves. Well, at least that wasn't the only reason. One of my heels was broken, and it was taking all my strength to stay balanced. Leaning my weight on the good shoe, I grabbed my sopping wet hair in both hands and twisted, squeezing the water out. Only when I followed his gaze to the distinct puddle forming on the gleaming wood floor did I realize my mistake. Sorry. I scanned the room for a towel. There weren't any. No surprise. Who kept a towel in an office? I dropped to my knees and let the water seep into my leggings. There, that got most of it sopped up. Satisfied, I climbed to my feet, only to find him staring like a broken nutcracker, eyes wide and mouth hanging open. He still hadn't spoken, but that was okay. As long as he hadn't officially rejected me, I still had a chance. It wasn't my fault, I said. He blinked a few times. I could only hope he was listening instead of planning how best to usher me out. Or maybe he was thinking of calling the loony bin to have them come for me with a straitjacket. It was my shoes. Standing precariously on one foot, I lifted the other to show him the broken, dangling heel on my precious, red-soled Jimmy Twos, now splattered with mud, like the rest of me. You see, I was an hour early for my audition, so the taxi driver dropped me off where I could do some window shopping. But there weren't any prices in the display, so I was curious and went inside to snoop. But as soon as I touched a dress, I was only trying to find a price tag, the sales lady snatched it and shoved me into a fitting room with it. And then she added 3 more dresses, and none of them had price tags. I figured that was a really bad sign, right? They probably cost a fortune. And she must have thought I could afford them because I was wearing Jimmy Twos. I paused, hoping for some indication he was following along, but all I saw was a small twitch at the corner of his lip. Maybe he was shy and that was his way of communicating. Only my Jimmy Twos aren't real, I whispered, because you had to whisper when you admitted something like that. They're knockoffs. I bought them on a street corner for $50. A brief smile flashed across his lips. Just for a second, and then it was gone. But it was there. I was making progress. So I made noises like I was trying on clothes for a while, and when the coast was clear, I made a beeline for the door. I heard her calling, "Miss, miss," so I slipped outside and started running down the sidewalk with her chasing me. Let me guess. He lifted an eyebrow and leaned back against his desk. She tackled you, and you landed in a mud puddle and broke your shoe. For the first time, my brain actually processed what I was seeing. This guy was gorgeous. Tall, way taller than my 5 feet 7 inches, and broad-shouldered. Dark hair, slightly too long on top, like he'd been too busy to take time for a haircut. Several days' growth of beard confirmed that impression, while emphasizing the firm lines of his jaw. His crystal blue eyes seemed to see more than they should. I stared at those mesmerizing eyes so long, I almost forgot what I was saying. No, I croaked, peeling my tongue from the roof of my mouth. She didn't tackle me. I was running and looking back over my shoulder and stepped on a grate in the sidewalk. My heel got stuck and it broke. Thank goodness I landed in a flower bed so I didn't get hurt. Looks like you landed in a dirty water fountain. I do like to make a splash. I flicked a wet strand of hair behind my shoulder. His mouth kicked up on one side. I think you succeeded. Before I could get up, a truck drove by and hit a puddle of water. Naturally, it splashed all over me. Naturally. And it turns out I left my purse in the dressing room and the lady was bringing it to me. He bit his lips to keep from laughing, and then I couldn't take my eyes off them. He had really nice ones. I wondered what it would feel like to kiss him. Wait, what am I doing? I couldn't think something like that about this man. If I got this job, he'd be my boss. And if there was one thing I'd learned in my 31 years, you never dated your boss. It was a great way to ruin a relationship and a job at the same time. Anyway, I'd sworn off men after Matt, my former boss, had done his number on me. That's when I had decided to move to Nashville and devote myself to pursuing my music career. For the past 4 years, I had done just that. My middle name is Grace, I babbled. Is that a joke? No, that's really my middle name. I chewed on my lower lip, wishing my mouth had an off button, or at least a slow down button so it didn't work faster than my brain. Actually, I guess it is a joke, for me to have a name like that. Should have been Clumsy. Harmony Clumsy doesn't flow as well as Harmony Grace. Oh, I know a good alternative. Harmony Gauche. Good grief. He was so mouth-watering when he smiled. I almost forgot why I'd come. Okay, shall I sing for you? West's brow furrowed as his cell phone buzzed. With a glance, he silenced it. Then those mesmerizing eyes locked with mine, sending my heart on a roller coaster ride. The kind with a 1,000-foot drop followed by a loop-the-loop. This did not bode well. Maybe we should reschedule, he said, a crease between his brows. I gave my head a shake, pulling my attention back to reality. I'm fine. I'm ready to sing if you'll give me a chance. He was frowning at his vibrating cell phone again. You could come back tomorrow, when you're dry. My return ticket was on the red eye that night. There was no way I could afford to get a hotel and buy another ticket. Please, I'm great at singing wet. I sing in the shower all the time. He typed something on his phone and slid it back into his pocket. I'm sorry, Miss Rivers. Everything was falling apart, all because of a little ill-fated window shopping. This was my big chance to sing on stage with none other than Race Madden. He wasn't just well-known. He was a megastar. The opportunity of a lifetime was slipping out of my grasp like a frantic chicken. I had to do something, or that hen was going to fly the coop. If he heard me sing, he wouldn't be able to turn me down. The rest of my life might have been one long episode of I Love Lucy, but my voice had never failed me. Not only did I have God-given talent, but I had spent years honing my skill. I wasn't a good singer. I was great. Not that you could tell by looking at my bank account, but that was because I'd never gotten the big break I'd needed. Until now. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and belted out the crooning melody of Race Madden's Lone Ballad. It was the only slow song on the Rockstar's debut album, by far my favorite. I didn't stop singing until I got to the end of the haunting chorus, holding the final note and eking out every last bit of emotion. I cracked an eye open and peeked at West Garrison, the doorkeeper to my career. He loved it. His eyes were dilated and his Adam's apple bobbed like it was taking a lot of effort to swallow. I stayed perfectly still, but inside I was jumping around like a pogo stick. Then something changed. His warm gaze turned to ice and dropped to the floor, along with my hopes.